private equity's role in journalism and really the role of free press. So we started bargaining for our third contract in January, and from the get-go, management's attorney, David Massoud, who I'm purposely name-dropping because he was an idiot, obfuscated and wasted our time. By the end of February, we were really worried. We had nearly 100 people, including people who had been at the company for less than a month. At least one person started the week our contract expired. So before we could ask these people to strike, we tried one last tactic to get to a final deal, and we reached out directly to our owners. As they said, Geo Media is owned by Great Hill Partners, a Boston-based private equity firm, and we sent the kindest letter we could muster, begging them to demand that our CEO, Jim Spanfeller, meet the union halfway. After all, that same month that we were bargaining, Great Hill raised $4.65 billion with a B for their latest venture fund. Where was that money going if not to raise our lowest paid workers to $65,000 a year? That's what we were begging for. The letter was met with silence. Chris Gaffney, who is the managing partner in charge of our acquisition, did not care. Management did not care. They thought we would blink. So on March 1st, my comrades and I began the first open-ended strike in digital media history, and it was fitting because we are the descendants of the first digital media shop in history. I use descendants because our unit has changed a bit since Gawker, the blog and website, decided to unionize back in 2015, and private equity had something to do with that. See, private equity took a bad situation and made it worse. After the billionaire Peter Thiel financed the lawsuit that would bring down Gawker, the website, you might remember the Hulk Hogan trial, these brave group of truth-telling websites were passed from company to company with differing editorial visions, budgets, and just never knowing what our futures would hold. I was actually laid off for the first time during one of those changing of the guards. So when Great Hill Partners bought our websites, it was worrisome because private equity has decimated journalism. Nationwide, the shares of newspapers owned by private equity increased from 5% to 23% in the last 20 years. These are people who do not care about speaking truth to power or holding the powerful to account. They do not believe in recording for history how our rights are being systematically stripped from us. They only care about money. While we do care about all those things, While we do care about all those things at GMG, we also have concrete priorities as well for our rank and file. We struck for a robust successorship clause, which is the only thing that saved us as our sites get sold without our consent or knowledge. We struck for editorial independence so we can write about what we want without interference, and that includes the right to wage social media campaigns about our working conditions. We fought for substantial minimum wage increases because our lowest salary workers were being hired at $50,000 while being forced to move to New York City, one of the most expensive cities in the country, as well as cost of living adjustments. So in order to get these goals, our strike had to be creative. We had a rowdy picket line in Midtown Manhattan for every workday, culminating in a very large rally, even though conveniently there was construction in the building on that day. At the same time, I led our digital strike team workers. Just like a picket line, there were captains, there were shifts, and there were roles for everyone because we did not want to leave one worker out of this fight. So these digital strike teams was taking care of media monitoring, interviews, so that immediately if a reporter reached out, we had someone available to talk with them. Social media brainstorming, creation, and posting, fundraising for our GoFundMe as a strike fund, and coordination efforts on the ground. If the team on the ground needed something, we were responsible for getting it to them. So that way, all they had to do was walk and shout. It was that team that really pushed for my favorite action of the week. If you could go to the next slide. Yeah, this one. Thank you. We started to put Chris Gaffney's email address on our socials and within our media push, as well as part of our letter writing campaign. Thanks to our union comrades, particularly at the AFL-CIO with their massive membership, they received thousands and thousands of email letters. But we also decided to spam the only social media network they care about, which is LinkedIn. We gave here's the thing, private equity, yes, they all of the things my comrades have talked about. They only care about their investors, but they also care about their reputations, and they like staying out of the news.
Yeah.
So we gave every rank and file member of our 100 person unit a script and turned them loose between Monday and Tuesday, between 8 and 11 p.m. when LinkedIn is the most used. Any Great Hill post at that time had our fingerprints on it, asking Chris Gaffney, what are you spending your money on, if not to give us more money? After 4 picket days and 6 days of striking, we won our third contract. We raised our minimum salaries from $50,000 to $62,000, as well as substantial raises for the rest of the unit. We got 15 weeks of parental leave for any kind of parenting, not just birthing. We codified WPATH healthcare protections for our trans and gender expansive colleagues. We got 3% raises for the life of the contract, and we got guaranteed protections against forced locations for people who were hired, like me, or moved during the pandemic. We got our editorial independence, and we got our successorship clause. We beat private equity because it can be done. They are vultures, but they are not immortal.